Hey guys, Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist here. This video is going to tackle one of the #1 questions I get so often on this channel. A lot of you ladies out there, hey there, are anxiously attached or securely attached, and you're in a relationship with an avoidant man. You've been asking, Adam, I know you've said that they're blocked for bonding with oxytocin, but that's not always the case, and sometimes they can get it. And the goal is to help them get that oxytocin, because that's what really builds that bond between them and me, right? Yes. Okay. So how do I give them that oxytocin? Today in this video, by the end of this video, you are going to understand how to help an avoidant man experience that oxytocin bonding. I'm not going to say how to make him oxytocin bond with you, because the avoidant guys are instantly going to switch off this video and say, okay, that's it. Adam's out there. He's the threat, right? No, I'm going to help you invite him into a loving oxytocin bond with you, where he sees that value of your love and care and nurturing and eases into that bond with you. Today, all about how to do that. First, what is oxytocin? Oxytocin, they call it the love hormone, but there's so many more things than that, okay? Oxytocin is something mammals in particular get. It's to help with birth, it's to help with breastfeeding, it's to help with climaxes in the bedroom, it's to help with a number of things. It creates the movement downstairs, so to speak, during the act, but it also generates a tremendous amount of bonding outside of the bedroom. Friends can oxytocin bond, mother and child, father and son, friends, family, everybody who shares a nurturing bond. When you see mammals out in the wild and they're snuggling, they're grooming each other, they're cleaning each other, they're just sleeping snuggled up together, the reason for that is oxytocin. Oxytocin is what rewards you for being close together with the other mammals in your pack. It rewards you for being close, for feeling safe. It does create that safety in numbers experience, but it's ultimately what makes you distinguish one mammal that you really care about from another mammal that you don't necessarily care about. A lot of that is that oxytocin factor. To get this, you have to be in what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, meaning out of stress mode. When you're releasing a ton of cortisol, if you're in your sympathetic nervous system, the one that's more fight or flight, trauma-based, stress-based, you block your oxytocin receptors so you can't activate this bonding hormone. It won't go into your system appropriately and you won't associate it with another person. This is why a lot of avoidant men, they're endlessly in stress mode. They're always in that sympathetic nervous system. It's even if it's just idling just a little bit in case they got to floor it and make a getaway, just in case. That sympathetic nervous system is almost always activated. They have a hard time ever getting into their parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. Very, very difficult for them, okay? Sometimes they can do it when they're alone. This is why avoidant men sometimes, well, a lot of times, have to go spend time by themselves. Avoidant women also the same way. They have to spend time alone because that's the only time their threat detection isn't picking up threats from other people. Right? Remember that for avoidant people, other people are the biggest threat of all. That's the problem. So in the first, let's say 5 to 7 months of a relationship, a securely attached person is supposed to be fostering oxytocin together with their partner because they're both in their parasympathetic nervous systems, the rest and digest mode. It's activated by the vagus nerve that runs from the brainstem down to the heart, the lungs, the stomach, rest and digest. This is where you start really rebuilding your growth hormone, wound healing goes up, your immune system improves, your testosterone or your estrogen really balance out at this point. Very important for fertility, very important for just overall health and reproductive health. It's very, very important for your bedroom drive as well. So all of this starts really healing in that parasympathetic nervous system when you have the vagus nerve activated. When you don't, when you're in more of a trauma state, and remember, trauma doesn't mean I have PTSD. Trauma means something hurt me, and I want to make sure I never get hurt again. So if I encounter that variable, I'm going to go and pull away from it. Okay, that can be painful of social experiences, awful times with people that you care about, people who hurt you. You get in a car crash, now you're afraid of that intersection, little things like that. It doesn't mean you almost died. It's not PTSD level trauma. It's like mid-level pain trauma. Keep in mind, when you're little, when you develop attachment issues, they are existential level because you could die as a kid if you get abandoned or turned on. So then you tag social conflict up here with existential level threats. This tags into your limbic system, which is your sympathetic nervous system. This is why anxious people out there and disorganized people, you'll notice this when you touch any sort of social experience that's scary, you activate your sympathetic nervous system, it goes up. By having somebody calm and reassure you, you get vasopressin and oxytocin comes down. Okay. Anxiously attached people, by the way, in your sympathetic nervous system, an avoidant person love bombs you, saturates you with oxytocin, really immerses you into your parasympathetic nervous system, but only when you're around them and only when you have their approval. And then when they pull back, they're yanking away your ability to go into your fully immerse into your parasympathetic nervous system. So then you're stuck back in your sympathetic nervous system all the time, freaking out, terrified. That's ultimately what feels like a betrayal to the anxiously attached person, is being pushed back into their sympathetic nervous system and not knowing how to get out. And someone else can help you out, but they won't. That's why it feels like a betrayal. Avoidant people out there, that's what's happening with your anxious partner or your former anxious partners. You helped them into their parasympathetic and they feel positive and healthy there. But then when you pull back, you were the pillar keeping them there. So then they go back into their sympathetic nervous system. That's why they act with resentment. They feel like it's a betrayal. How could you do this to me? And you're like, whoa, you were okay before I came along. Why are you like this now? It's because they weren't okay when you came along. They're dependent on other people at this time until they fix it. They're dependent on other people to be able to immerse into their parasympathetic nervous system. Avoidant people can't really understand that because they've never been able to immerse into their parasympathetic nervous system. Men in particular, we have a very hard time really immersing into our parasympathetic nervous system, even when we're healthy. When we're unhealthy, when we're more avoidant or hurt, traumatized, fear-based, none of these are appropriate words for avoidant people. What we would say is risk-focused and stress-built is when you're in that sympathetic nervous system. You can't really come out of it. Men, we invented like the non-violent portion of martial arts is to give such overwhelming endurance and such overwhelming discipline that we can finally turn off the sympathetic nervous system and sort of rest a little bit in our parasympathetic nervous system, devoid of connection with other people. Keep in mind, humans, just like mice, just like wolves, like chimps, we are meant to live symbiotically with other members of our pack or our group or our troop. We're meant to live like this and then absorb hormone bonding from each other. So the men go out, they are on the outside of the group typically. They face struggles, fears, trials, trauma, pain. They are designed to be in their sympathetic nervous system more often and to be resilient against it. But then to come home in the evening, where the females are more on the inside, where they're insulated from a lot of that, and then link up symbiotically with their female partner's nervous system, she can ease him into his parasympathetic nervous system and immerse him in it. You've heard in the past, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, really good food, the care and love that goes into it, spending time in the evening, talking together. Yes, good times in the bedroom. All of that care and nurturing eases him into his parasympathetic nervous system and then saturates him with oxytocin. So ladies, am I saying that you just need to like handcuff him to the table and stuff him full of casserole? Well, probably not. Unless that's what both of you are into. What's actually going to happen is if he can't get out of his sympathetic nervous system to even connect with you, his receptors will be blocked. And so you can't get through to him for that oxytocin bonding. You've probably experienced this before when an avoidant man is sitting there and you're trying to hold him and he's like vibrating in place and you can hear the thoughts in his head and you can feel his teeth grinding because he's like thinking so hard about going back to work or something like that. It's because he's in his sympathetic nervous system. It's not that he doesn't like you. It's actually that when men are in their sympathetic nervous system, the touch, affection, and attempts for bonding actually feel very abrasive to most men. Imagine a guy is out in the wild. 3 guys go out with spears. They're going to go hunt. And suddenly like a woolly mammoth attacks them and like stomps John to death. And then Jack and Steve are standing there. They're not going to be like, that really upsets me. Can I have a hug, Steve? They're going to be like, okay, I don't have time for anything else. It's time to dissociate and kill this mammoth. And then we can hug, right? Like hug after the threat is destroyed. Men will usually reconnect after. Women often reconnect during. Why? Because hunter-gatherer structure. That's what we're built for. During, what struggle are women mostly going to face? Inside the group struggle. Okay. Friction inside the group. So what's best when your dopamine and serotonin get pulled away and you're miserable? To seek reassurance and seek that bonding that you both still care about each other, immerse with oxytocin, instantly improve mood, flood back with serotonin again. Now you're both in a better state to then resolve the issue. Okay. Have you ever noticed that when guys are in a fight or if they're having a problem, they have to go all the way through the fight and beat the crap out of each other and one of them punches the other one and knocks him down. Then once the fight is done, Now they can hug and they can become best friends. That's the different structures. So ladies out there, if you ever try to hug a guy in the middle of a fight, don't do that. Pretty much the worst thing you could possibly do. Now, if his nervous system is calm enough, you can let him know, this means a lot to me. Could you give me a hug so I can really feel closer to you? That will help us resolve this faster. Okay, now if he's calm enough, he might be able to do that, but it's not going to be a bonding experience for him usually during that process. Not usually. It's like, okay, I will do this for you to disarm some of the friction. Now we can solve the problem. Just keep that in mind. We are very different for that. We're designed to be different for that. So back to the problem at hand. How do you make a man oxytocin bond with you? How do you invite a man into oxytocin bonding? Well, the key is that vagus nerve, okay? That vagus nerve. So we are, if you've ever noticed, humans, when one of us yawns, we get sleepy. The other one starts yawning. It's a contagious effect. That's actually when one person that activates the vagus nerve and really immerses you into your parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest nerve in here that goes up and down. And that when we see someone else do that, and we all start, suddenly the entire group is all yawning and in their parasympathetic nervous system, calmed down, ready to groom and bond and sleep. It's a contagious effect, seemingly for a very important reason. So should you start yawning while you're around him? Well, maybe. But what you actually need to do is maybe work with him on first getting out of his sympathetic nervous system, or at least bringing the engine down where it's just barely running. If you can get him to kind of just switch off the key for a moment, that'd be even better. Vagus nerve breathing. Most avoidant men are happy to learn about sympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve. Interestingly, a lot of avoidant men, their first journey into learning about their stress levels and how to disarm them is vagus nerve work. That's why vagus nerve work has been very popular, especially in the last, let's say, 8 years, because avoidant men are willing to listen to it. They're like, oh, there's a nerve that allows me to enter a peaceful rest mode, and that's never activating for me because my cortisol levels are so high and I don't have the proper bonding hormones to help me transition into it. So what I need to do is stimulate my vagus nerve through workout, through breathing, through these different pieces like this. Okay, that makes sense. If you can work with him on, hey, you know how sometimes you are really stressed out from your day and you're really, really intense, and I ask you like, hey, pay attention to me, and you're having a hard time. It turns out that's not you. And you can tell them that's not you. That's actually your sympathetic nervous system. It's designed to keep you in stress mode so you're highly productive, but it burns you out over time. So what happens is you have a vagus nerve running on the middle. You can actually pull up charts of this. It's the longest nerve running from that brainstem. You can pull up charts of this and show it to him and say, this is your vagus nerve, right? This activates a restful mode. When you do this, you stop vibrating and you can kind of sit there and relax. And then it opens up these receptors so that I can give my love to you and you can feel at peace. And you can tell him, would you like me to be your peace? Most avoidant men, this is their number one thing on their list, right? I want you to be my peace. But they can't receive it from you. So it's doomed. Would you like me to be your peace? Okay, for me to do that, that's this bonding hormone called oxytocin. For me to give that to you, I need you to be able to come down far enough that I can really start giving you that, and then I can immerse you into your parasympathetic nervous system. This sounds so unromantic, you guys, but to an avoidant man, this is like a thunderbolt smacking him in the head. Like sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, vagus nerve, cortisol, oxytocin, serotonin release. This is how I can be happy. Okay. If you've ever asked an avoidant man, are you happy? And he goes, what is happiness? If you've ever had that experience, it's because you cannot be happy in your sympathetic nervous system. You're actually punished for trying to be happy. You're rewarded for being unhappy. Bad feelings, hurt feelings, scared feelings, anger feelings, all of that's rewarded over here because it makes you more focused and productive. If he can't be happy, it's a great question to open with. Have you ever felt truly happy? No, I really don't think I have. That's because that's a good sign that you're in you're in your sympathetic nervous system. That's a really good sign you are in your sympathetic nervous system. That nervous system cannot be happy. For you to be happy, you have to enter your parasympathetic nervous system by stimulating that vagus nerve and by relaxing all the way. Once you do that, you rest and digest. You generate a lot of your serotonin in your gut, where that is the contentment feeling that allows you to feel that. It's why it's in our gut. Parasympathetic nervous system, you start stimulating serotonin, you start flooding with positive feelings, a good mood. But then the bonding through oxytocin of being able to just sit and groom and, caress each other, kiss each other, really fully immerse and relax. Very, very important. But that's parasympathetic. Okay. He's in his wrong nervous system. He has been for most of his life. A lot of men today don't even experience. You're supposed to really experience your parasympathetic nervous system with your mother early on. And that's the one and only experience most men will have with it prior to having a partner. So if he didn't even get it with his mom, if she was the source of a lot of his pain, he's probably never been in his parasympathetic nervous system. So very important to track that. How do you get a man to release oxytocin? You help him understand that there's the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, peace mode. You ask him if you want him to be his peace and if he's ever been happy. You research vagus nerve stimulation together. It's breathing. Some deep breaths. So when you guys sit together, you can do some deep breaths and then you rest with him. You can lay on his chest. You can actually lay his head on your chest. It's one of the most overwhelming oxytocin experiences for a lot of men. He has to come all the way down where he's not buzzing or he's going to be too self-conscious. He won't be able to relax laying there. But if he can lay down and relax, he can lay his head on your chest. Overwhelming flood of oxytocin for most men at that point, ladies, and you'll usually enjoy it too. Most women say they actually enjoy that more than they enjoy laying on their partner. They enjoy him laying on her. So very, very, very important. And you'll stimulate a lot of oxytocin during this release too. You're designed to. Having a loving person laying on your chest. Oxytocin, again, allows for the letdown of milk, for milk supply, for baby to drink, everything. So you're designed to stimulate overwhelming amounts of oxytocin when someone you care about is laying on your chest. Very, very normal and very, very healthy. So that right there, huge amounts of oxytocin. Or you can scratch his scalp with your fingers gently. Rub his shoulders for him, rub his neck. Most men, the stress level from sympathetic nervous system, and it burns magnesium, so then your muscles cramp. It's not the neck. Ladies, it's usually the base of the skull for you. For men, it's actually further down in the shoulder area here, right in the corner, in the crook, and a little bit lower as well, down closer to the shoulder blades. Those are two places. If you massage those while he's relaxed, massage those while he's close to his parasympathetic nervous system, he can enter that parasympathetic nervous system and immerse into it. I wish they'd named them different things. And he can immerse into it, relax, and then really bond with you. And you can actually be easing his pain. This is ultimately, if we want to look at male and female like a symbiotic relationship. Female is on the inside running the home and the family and the friends, the connections, the children, everything. Men are on the outside operating against threats and pulling in resources, hunter-gatherer style. Even if that's not what modern day does, it's what we're built for. Men come back and receive nurturing from women and that bonding, grooming that both of you need. You're probably thinking about emotional intimacy a lot, ladies, right? This is what you can do to get that emotional intimacy is caring for him and him caring for you in return. After you rub his shoulders, he can rub your shoulders. You can rub each other's feet or back, and that leads to all kinds of fun usually. So at that point, that massage, scalp scratching, just caressing and touching, laying on each other's chests, talking about your day a little bit more. If he learns how to talk about his day, I have a video here on this channel called How to Talk to Women. It is not about cold approach dating. It's actually emotionally intimate talking and conversation. How to talk to women. It's here on this channel. For avoidant men who want to learn how to actually communicate with your wife in a way that she will really, really receive and grow her desire and her respect for you. So very important that you do all of this. All of this starts really stimulating that oxytocin as long as that avoidant man is open to this. Again, you're going to catch his attention by saying, have you ever been happy? And would you like me to be your peace? The research says that's impossible, both of those, if you're stuck in this sympathetic nervous system. But you're supposed to come home, hunter-gatherer style, and relax with me so that I can then nurture you and immerse you into your parasympathetic nervous system. Symbiotic hunter-gatherer relationship. Okay. Tell him, I would like to form a symbiotic hunter-gatherer relationship with you. Again, doesn't sound sexy to most people, but to an avoidant partner, actually kind of does. He's like, I like hunting. What does this mean? And that will usually kickstart that brain. So start talking about that science. Do some research yourself, ladies, on the vagus nerve, VAGUS. the vagus nerve, the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, parasympathetic nervous system. Go do some research on these things. You can start talking to him very clearly and directly about these experiences. I haven't gone in depth on a lot of the medical language and terminology before here on this channel. I've tried to keep it smooth and simple. I'm finding that a lot of people want some of these deeper languages, especially as we now start working with avoidant partners. They need exact medical language that they can start researching. So I'm going to start bringing out a lot more terms like these now that I know you guys are comfortable with them. Let me know in the comments if you like this deeper science like this. I want to give you what you're looking for. If it's too much, let me know that too. I can not dumb it down, but I mean, I can try to use more emotional language instead. That's the flowery languages. You have a peace mode. You need to go into that peace mode to be able to bond. Well, no, you have a parasympathetic nervous system that is where your oxytocin receptors open up, and that stimulates that grooming, mate maintenance behavior. I'm saying the same thing, but in two different languages. So let me know which one you guys prefer. But this is how you start stimulating that oxytocin. If you can get him to do this, amazing. The other piece is vasopressin bonding. You can get around some of that sympathetic nervous system blockage or the oxytocin, because what happens when a man enters the sympathetic nervous system? Well, he doesn't start thinking, who helps me by snuggling? If he's out there and the mammoth has just stomped on John, John is a smeared mess across the ground, and he's like, John appears to be out of the game. It's me and Steve. What is Steve doing? And he thinks about his relationship recently with Steve. He doesn't think, how many hugs has Steve given me lately? He thinks, okay, when my life has been in danger in the past, who was there? When things were tough, who could I count on? When I almost died, did anyone help me? If Steve has never helped him before, this guy goes into panic solo mode and starts trying to Rambo his way out of the situation or take out the mammoth by himself. Now we have uncoordinated men trying to each one off this mammoth as an army of one. Okay? Probably going to die. If these guys have worked together before and survived, they formed a vasopressin bond that says, when I was really fighting for my life, that guy was right there with me. We held the line. We survived. We killed the mammoth. We fed our family. We fed John's widow, and we took care of everybody, right? So this is what we're going to do today. So they take care of business. They coordinate, they trust each other, and they solve the problem. Vasopressin bonding still works in the sympathetic nervous system. In fact, it works mostly in the sympathetic nervous system because that's where you're resolving stress. So again, ladies, if you help him get out of his sympathetic nervous system and start really immersing into his parasympathetic nervous system, you've been the one and only person on the planet probably who's ever done this for him. And that earns overwhelming amounts of gratitude from an avoidant partner. Okay, I just want to point that out. If you want to be the love of his life and the first true love he's ever known, help him out of his sympathetic nervous system into his parasympathetic nervous system. Be Steve, who hunts the mammoth with him. Okay? Don't be Sally at home, who occasionally gives him hugs. You need to vasopressin bond with your man so that he sees that you are his ally even during times of stress. Otherwise, stress hits, he will shove you out of the way and try to one-man army his way through the problem while you're over here saying, what the heck is going on? Why am I pushed away? And then when everything's done, he's going to come back and say, okay, now we can do the hugging. And you're going to say, I don't want to do the hugging now. That hurt. That's the problem. Vasopressin bond. Talk to him about his sympathetic nervous system. Talk to him about this bonding experience, and then start using physical affection especially. It's overwhelmingly important. Yes, holding hands, hugging, cuddling, all of that stimulates oxytocin. Engaging in shared activities like hobby, travel, fun activities you can do. Those create positive memories. They strengthen the bonds. Acts of kindness for him can boost oxytocin levels, gifts, handmade things that mean something to him, spending that quality time together. But really, biggest thing for avoidant men, quite honestly, physical touch. Physical touch is the biggest thing at the beginning. It's built into us mammals, right? Mice do it. Coyotes do it. Bonobo chimps do it. Humans do it too. The biggest things and biggest flags here, okay? Start small. Don't say, hi, would you like to be happy? And he's like, okay. And then you spring at him and latch him in a headlock and you're like, I will love you. Don't do that. That's an instant cortisol flood. He's going to be in the sympathetic nervous system. That's where he's like, okay, now you are the mammoth, right? Don't do that. Patient, gradual exposure, a little bit at a time. It's going to weird him out. Don't be afraid if he backs off afterward. He might have actually a phobic response. Coming out of his sympathetic nervous system makes him feel unsafe because now his engine's off. He says, what if something bad happens? I'm not prepared to deal with it. And he's going to start freaking out. And he's going to say, I feel weird. I don't know what it is. I'm happy and like it feels warm inside. Yeah, it's the vagus nerve kind of like stimulating in here. His blood, his heart, his lungs, his stomach, everything works a little better. That's why we associate like relaxation and love and warmth with our chest. It's that vagus nerve stimulation in here plus better blood flow, everything improves. But he's going to be like the Grinch when his heart grows 3 sizes and he's like screaming in agony because he's like confused that his heart's beating again. That's what's going to start happening. Okay, he's going to actually freak out. So that low oxytocin, absolutely vital. You guys have, that you fix that. You guys have seen me talking about that here on this channel. You know that that's what leads to that dopamine crash at 5 months or 7 months. It's what obliterates most relationships, especially within that first year, because he's not bonding with you because he can't. He's stuck in that sympathetic nervous system. It's not that he won't, right? I hate this saying, if he wanted to, he would. No, absolutely not. If you're in your sympathetic nervous system, you're not like super lovey-dovey bonding, happy, snuggly. You're like, okay, what do we kill next? How do we stay safe? And you actually want your avoidant man to be focused on protecting, providing, caring. Avoidant men have some of the highest abilities to manage their stress level and stay disciplined and get through it and take care of their families. It's what they're for. It's actually what the adaptation is for, is to provide and protect for the family, for self and for family. But you have to really bond with them and then immerse them into their parasympathetic nervous system. Otherwise, they start saying, you're not doing anything for me. I'm fulfilling my side of the contract. Where's yours? It's that he's blocked from receiving the payments you're trying to send to him, but he also thinks you're not bothering to send it to him at the same time. Okay. Learn about this with him. Maybe even watch this video with him. Hi guys. Enjoy the mammoth jokes. Really share with him and then talk about doing this. This is what avoidant men need more than anything else. Biggest thing, absolute biggest thing, consistency. Don't start it. Don't stop it, right? Don't start, stop. Tell him what you're doing. Don't just try to enact this upon him, ladies. Worst thing you can do. If you change at all, an avoidant man senses it. He like smells it in the wind. And then he like becomes instantly guarded and fearful and like stressed out and suspicious. And he assumes that the CIA has turned you, kind of thing. Be aware of that. Tell him what's happening. Talk to him about this. Tell him, I want to offer you peace and I want to offer you love and happiness. And right now you can't get that, but I'm going to help you get it if that's what you want. Would you like to do this with me? Offer him those things. He's going to be very intrigued, very confused and suspicious, but offer that to him. And then tell him there's a few things we can do. Watch a video with me, okay? A word for the people out there who might struggle with this, okay? Struggling with these issues does not make you a bad partner. Everybody faces challenges in relationships. Okay. What's important is that you take proactive steps that can make a difference. Remember that building this strong connection, it's a journey together. You can improve your relationship over time with intentional effort and patience. Even someone stuck in their sympathetic nervous system can enter their parasympathetic nervous system over time with trust. Now, just keep in mind, I do this for a living. I help people come out of their sympathetic nervous systems and immerse with a partner in a sympathetic nervous system. That's ultimately what healthy attachment is being able to stay in your parasympathetic nervous system even when you're in conflict with other people. You stay in this calm system and work with them who are also in their parasympathetic nervous system. And it's two people working together collaboratively and calmly, even though there's conflict going on. And then you resolve it together, you vasopressin bond, you oxytocin bond, and you build an even better relationship. That's ultimately what secure attachment is. It's having a non-trauma response to relationships and conflict and being able to work through it together in trust. So if you need help with that, drop a comment below. Say, Adam, I need help. Send me an email, support@adamlanesmith.com. You can always DM me over on Twitter or Instagram. My links are down below as well. You are always welcome to contact me, you guys. I take a million questions. I am here to help. Make sure you drop a comment below. Avoidant guys, if you have watched this video and it piqued your interest a little bit, say like, yeah, this interested me. Yes, I would like to talk about this with a girlfriend, right? If someone talked about with you, would you like this? Okay. Biggest thing I want to hear, because I want the anxious ladies, I want them to be able to go into the comment sections and say, okay, is it a terrible idea to watch this video with him? Or do you think an avoidant man would actually watch this video and maybe get a little bit of hope and some interest? And maybe this would help us build a relationship. Avoidant guys, I need your help. Pop in that comment section. Let us know. Would this video help? Would you want to do this with your partner? Is this interesting to you? If it's not, tell me that. But if it is, please let me know and let them know so that they can go out and love their avoidant men with even more love and consistency and maybe a little bit of restraint at first. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Please, if this was helpful, make sure you like, comment, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications. I would love to connect with you. Drop a comment below and we'll get in touch.